The final Giants Live for the 2025 season is over, but what happened at the World Tour Finals and who so far has qualified for next year's World's Strongest Man? So World Tour Finals is over. Great competition. It was one, I've got to admit, I wasn't that excited for leading up to it. However, when we got there, it was actually a really good competition. I got stuck into it and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it ended up being a super fun show. I think because the initial lineup changed so drastically, we lost a lot of big names from the show. And obviously its proximity to the Rogue Invitational as well means it does keep some of those big names out. But it was a chance for new guys to shine. We saw lots of different faces. And the events ended up being really fun. And they started, of course, with the Log Lift World Championships.
Yeah, the Log Lift was something I actually was obviously looking forward to. Some personal kind of involvement in that with Jack Osborne doing the log only. For those that don't know, I've been training Jack since he was 16, so it meant a lot for me to see him do well at this. And he got the British record and ended up winning the log overall. So in Log Lift World Championship for 2025 is Jack Osborne. However, he wasn't in the full competition. So we're going to focus on the full competition. And another man I was super impressed with, taking the outright win in the full competition, Andre Foyt. We know he's a good log lifter. He smashed his own junior world record, which stood at 210 kilos. He went on and did 220 kilos after already securing first place with 210. But he is phenomenal, isn't he?
He is so incredible, and just 23 years old. I keep saying, how are you still a junior? He must have been like 20 when we first met.
I feel like we've known him for like 10 years now.
I know, it's ridiculous. But yeah, super impressive and very strong.
Yeah, Tom Stoltman took second place on the log. Actually, early lifts, he looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
I thought Tom's looking brilliant. It was only when it got real heavy that the tricep strength wasn't there to lock out the 210. He's done 210 before.
He has.
His 200 was superb. It flew up probably the best lift out of all the people that got it.
Yeah.
But he took that jump and then I don't know if it came out of line or he just didn't have the tricep strength that Andre and Jack have. But that was as much as it was for Tom. However, still second place in the overall competition.
It's very, very solid.
It was a good start for Tom. And then we had a lot of ties. Firstly, a number of athletes getting 190. And as you rightly predicted, loads of athletes stuck on 180. A lot of people getting less than they were expecting. There was a lot of talk of 6 to 8 guys doing 200 kilos plus. We only had 3 athletes go over 200, including Jack, who was just log only.
And we see this every single year on this setup, especially for new guys. And we did have 5 new guys in this show. I don't know if it's the lights, the log, the whole environment, the whole, the nerves.
I will say this, okay? Doing a 200 kilo log in competition is still a huge feat of strength. Massive. I'd say rarer than doing a 400 kilo deadlift.
It is rarer now, yeah.
It's still, doing it on your own kit is one thing. Doing it in competition is still something we don't see that often, and is a huge feat of strength for anyone. So, it's still a big target to aim for.
Yeah. So unfortunately, at this point in the competition, we did lose Mateusz Kieliszkowski. He did successfully lift 170 and 180, but he was saying right before the show in the warm-ups, actually, he was feeling some tightness in his calf. So he ended up viper pressing his warm-ups because in the push press, he was really feeling it and he was worried about his Achilles. He felt a little something on that 180 and he decided to withdraw from the show to protect himself, really, more than anything for the 2026
The worst thing
season.
you want to do, especially when you've had a lot of injuries, then have another drastic injury. It was the right call, obviously a shame, but hopefully speedy recovery for Mateusz and we see him back very soon. So event 2 was the load and push, or it was a load into a wheelbarrow carry. Luke Richardson looking phenomenal on this one. He is, well, for the whole weekend, he just looked focused. A man on an absolute mission.
A man on a tear. He was like a man possessed. It was great to see, though. Andy Flynn, unsurprisingly, very super fast, fit athlete. He took second in this one. Evans Nana in third, which was great to see. I know he's good at these moving events.
I expected big things from Evan on the middle few events, and Andy Flynn. Andy Flynn's really impressed me. Still continuing to make progress. Always been a good all-round athlete.
Yeah.
But he's continuing to get better every time that we see him. Strength is improving, and these type of moving events always suit him well.
Yeah. And also Callum Crozier, we should talk about, who came fourth. He is the last call-up for this competition. He just won Scotland's Strongest Man. And we should point out, he's come up from being a weight class athlete, and now he's, winning national open weight shows. So
won Scotland's Strongest Man, which is brilliant. It's a big step up into these shows. So I said in a live that we did, I'm not sure that the winner of Scotland's should get an invite into this show. Reason being, you only have a few weeks prep, and also the Scotland's Strongest Man is a qualifier for Britain's Strongest Man, which I think makes sense. Then if you do well at Britain's, then maybe you get the invites to these other shows.
Yeah.
But he kind of did exceptionally well, and it's not a knock on Callum.
No.
It's just an observation when you look at some of the
results and
some of the results and some of the big contests that go on around the world that get overlooked for athletes. America's Strongest Man, for instance, you had Lucas Hatton winning that, and there's no chance for some of those guys to get the qualifier.
Process,
But Callum still did really well, and it's good experience for future comps that he gets invited to. So we moved on to another dynamic event in the carry and drag. So it was a duck walk into a chain and anchor drag. So on this one we had the same top three as the previous event, but in a different order. This time Evans Nana coming out in first place, Luke Richardson taking second, and Andy Flynn taking third on this one.
So this was also a great event for two of our Canadian athletes, with Maxime Boudreau coming fourth and James Jeffers in fifth at his Giants Live debut.
We moved on to the Wrecking Ball hold, and Andy Flynn in the top three again, this time taking the win. Outright win for Andy Flynn. This is probably an event no one really would have looked at Andy winning as well.
No.
He's not necessarily known for incredible grip strength, but a gutsy competitor he is indeed. And yes, he took the win just ahead of Andre Foytu, who had been very consistent. We haven't spoken about him in the top threes.
Well, he wasn't in the top five for either of the two moving events, so he needed a big performance.
But he was just behind those as well. He hadn't dropped points. He was always like middle table. He beat Tom on both those previous events.
True.
So he wasn't getting the big points, but he wasn't losing points either. Had that great performance in the log, and then he really started to make his move here. He was just 0.04 of a second slower than Andy.
Slower or less time
holding.
Flynn.
And then in third place, Evans Nana, another top three for him.
A bit of a, cock up, to be honest, on the pickup for Evans Nana.
Yes, so he kind of messed up the pickup, but the referee doesn't start the stopwatch until they are stood up.
Locked
so
out.
He got the chance to kind of repick and then got locked in. Callum as well, another great performance from him, fourth place on this one. Luke Richardson taking fifth.
So it all came down to the Atlas Stones, but at this point in the competition, Luke Richardson had a fairly comfortable lead, but he obviously had to do and perform well in the Atlas Stones to secure that win. I think the biggest surprise on the Stones, so Tom Stockman won, that's not a surprise. Tom doing Tom things, it was very comfortable for Tom. But in second place, a weakness turned into a strength perhaps, was Andre Foytu. Now this is the first time he has ever even finished this Atlas Stone run, and he has come fourth at Giants Live twice, at Europe's Strongest Man, and he's been fourth at the official Strongman Games, so this pushed him up.
He was in fourth going into this event.
He was, and it felt like history was repeating itself, and perhaps with Stones historically being a weakness, he might even actually slip back even further than fourth.
He finished very, very strong. Took second place on the Stones to Tom Stoltman and secured his second place and qualified for World's Strongest Man next year. Gav Bilton coming in third on the Stones. Good finish for Big Gav. Luke Richardson securing that win in fourth place, and James Jeffers doing enough to get a top five finish on that. He performed very well.
Yeah, James did well. Yeah, it's a lot. And we should talk about Tim Buck also. Unfortunately, he had to pull out of the competition halfway through. He suffered with a little something in training, and it was just getting aggravated the further into the show he was going. So hopefully he can come back fit next time. But James Jeffers did really well. It's such a different show, isn't it, when it's your first time? It's like bam.
The pace of Giants Live usually gets a lot of people, and you just hear it backstage all the time where people are really struggling.
Yeah, there's no real warm-up after event number one either. It's literally like a little handle of an implement out back and then straight out onto the stage.
Yeah, so Luke Richardson took the win, 54 points. Andre Foytu in second place with 52, and then we had Andy Flynn in third place, rounding out the podium. Evans Nana, he was absolutely good. Ended up dropping the stone, the fifth stone. He dropped on his foot. It was swollen. He was devastated, but a step up from where he finished last year. He's making progress. And then Tom Stoltman, very surprisingly, in fifth place. So that is it for the 2025 Giants Live season, and that means we've had 3 contests that have qualified athletes for next year's World's Strongest Man.
And you know what's super interesting, because that leaves 9 opportunities, and we do actually have 9 different men out of that. There have been no repeats on the podium at Giants Live this year.
This must be a first time in maybe ever.
Well, considering last year, so last year they had 4 international competitions after Europe. So Britain's in Europe's can qualify you for this year's Worlds, and then after that it's all for the next year's competition. Last year we had the Vegas show as an extra, but Mitch Hooper won every one of those shows last year, so there was a lot of repeats on the podiums.
Yeah, so this year we've had the Strongman Classic where Evan Singleton won, Jaco Schoonwinkel was second, and Paddy Haynes was third. So they took the first 3 qualifying spots. At the World Open, Hafthor Bjornsson won, Bryce Johnson was second, and Matt Ragg was third, so it gives us 6 athletes. And obviously the World Tour Finals, Luke Richardson, Andre Foytu and Andy Flynn also securing their spots. So that is only 9 athletes that so far have guaranteed a qualifying spot at World's Strongest Man.
With some exception. So any currently performing World's Strongest Man winner also gets an invitation. So that includes Reino now, Mitchell Hooper and Tom Stoltman. Thor Bjornsson was in that list already, obviously officially qualified by winning a show. I still, whether or not he'll take it, we don't know. He has been invited for the last couple of years, so we don't know if he's going to take that. What will be interesting, will they invite Martins and Alexei?
Well, both. Well, we know that Martins is planning on competing before World's Strongest Man next year, so he's going to be active.
He's hoping to do the Arnolds.
Alexei, as a former champion, you'd think would get an invite as well.
I guess it depends if he competes at all.
Yes, he's got to show interest that he wants to compete. But it means there's a lot of spaces up for grabs.
Well, that means, if Reino, Mitch and Tom, which they will accept unless there's something serious going on, that means we have 12 athletes. This year at the show we had 25, a lineup of 25 in total. But there's massive names missing from that list. So we should point out, because I know people think it, but it's not the case. Making the final does not qualify you for the next year's World's Strongest Man. They will try.
I think one thing that's really shown that as well is the drop from 30 to 25 athletes this year.
Yeah.
And we don't know. Maybe they'll go back up to 30 in
I always kind of hope they do.
But right now, nothing's been said.
Yeah.
So if it's 25, it leaves a lot less opportunities for people. And it makes things a lot harder to get those spots.
Yeah, 100%. So if we, I jotted down a few of the names of the guys that were at Worlds last year who haven't qualified, and in most cases they don't have an opportunity to qualify now. So Trey Mitchell is a great example. He can't technically qualify now, but we do know that they give out discretionary invitations.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not Trey's out, we'll just backfill, because who's going to qualify now? So Trey Mitchell is a great example. Pablo Cordiaca made the final of Worlds last year, as did Luke Stoltman and Shane Flowers. None of them have officially qualified yet. Tom Evans.
Luke would have opportunities still to qualify
Europeans,
with Britain's and Europe's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
If you're not in Europe, it is much harder at this point.
Which is why sometimes I think maybe rejigging the schedule in terms of where the internationals are in the calendar year and where the nationals are, but that's another conversation. So Tom Evans, third at Schmo this year, not yet on that list, along with Austin Andrade, Mateusz Kieliszkowski, Tristan Hof, Maxime Boudreau, Nick Gardion, Wesley Dewinski. So there's still loads and loads of really good names missing.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens and how they go about selecting athletes for World's Strongest Man.
They should just leave it to us, I think. I could select really well.
I don't want that pressure.
No, I know, right? Oh, God.
I'll leave
Close
it to
the
you.
Inbox down.
Yeah, so I mean, there's lots of talking points of, how to make it fair. We have this conversation every year.
Yeah.
Is it totally fair at the moment? No, it's not. It is the answer.
It's imbalanced.
It's very imbalanced.
Yeah.
There is OSG for the athletes that have gone to OSG.
Although that's technically not a qualifier for Worlds, it's a qualifier for Giants.
It absolutely is, you've pointed out many times, but they do look at that, especially for athletes that have never been, or athletes that maybe haven't done so well at Worlds and trying to get back to World's Strongest Man. Definitely a good route to go down.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't want to be a World's Strongest Man athlete selector.
I would.
Well, you would.
What are you talking about?
I wouldn't. It's a hard job.
It is a hard job.
There's lots of there's lots of discussions you need to look into. I think it's important that you are looking at all types of competitions. You're looking at who competes in the strongest man on earth, who's done well in maybe like Champions League. I think someone like Kevin Harsleger has been really, really consistent. And let's remember,
100%.
Rain O'Neill came through that route last year, ended up winning the World's Strongest Man.
If Kevin wins the Strongman Champions League final this year, I would at least love to see him invited to Europe's Strongest Man. Why not? Chuck in Adam Ruszkowski as well.
I think a couple of extra names into things like that would be good to see. It is tough. You come to those shows, it's tough, especially if it's a late entry, as we said before. But there's a lot of good athletes out there, and obviously events are so important in strongman. You've got athletes like, let's take Austin Andrade.
Take Austin versus Paddy as a great example.
Yeah, you do one type of comp, Paddy's going to win. Yeah. Different set of events, Austin's going to win.
Yeah.
it's
totally opposite strengths.
Very different.
Almost,
So there's lots of scenarios where things can change with strongman.
Yeah.
But it's good to see that we've got 9 different qualifiers from the last 3 Giants Lives.
And as we know, Giants Live is the only official way to get to the world's strongest man.
Right, guys, let us know your thoughts below. I hope you've enjoyed the Giants Live season. It's been fun to be a part of it. They do put on an incredible show. I've got to say, qualifying for Worlds aside, the actual shows, the backstage staff, the organisation from the owners, everything is kind of thought
top
of.
Notch.
It's the best one-day shows out there, without question. We love that we get to be a part of it. Yeah. And if you've never been to a strongman competition, you want to see a show in person, I would recommend getting yourself to a Giants Live show in 2026.